So welcome back to the Tool Shed. In this one, black fire, white fire. This one is a little more esoteric, but you'll see it becomes very meaningful and real when you use it in your life. So there's an ancient mystical teaching. If you've ever seen a Torah scroll, right, the scroll that originally was written on, and that's where they house the 5 books of Moses. It was a scribe, still is to this day, who writes it with black ink. And it's on a whitish parchment. It's, usually a little like colored, yellowish, but white essentially. And so the scribe will write, and all the words of the text, according to the mystics, are black fire, right? Fire, because this is, at least to a traditional Jew and in their worldview, this is the fire of life, right? This text. And this isn't about the Torah. This isn't about Bible. This isn't about religion. It has nothing to do with that. Bear with me. You'll see why. But that fire is the words that come to life. Listen to my tool shed tool on abracadabra. Abracadabra means I create, avracadabra, as I speak. It's Aramaic, like Hebrew, similar to Hebrew. And from a mystical perspective, our speech leaves us and is either written form or spoken form, and that's a magical, mysterious, creative process. The creator in that story of the Hebrew Bible speaks and it becomes, right? So it's a powerful, creative capacity that we all have as human beings, as men. Animals don't have this, not like we do. It's the greatest gift we've been given. One of them, free will, a few other things, the power to abracadabra, to create through our speech. That's black fire. So watch abracadabra because that's a black fire tool. I want to talk about the white fire in this one. What's the white fire? Well, say the mystics, as powerful a tool as that black fire is, the act of writing and the black ink on the page to symbolize it, the spaces between the letters. The white fire, right, on the page on which it is written is as powerful or sometimes more powerful. The white fire, more powerful than the black fire. What does that mean? You know what it means. It's the space between the notes, as it was once said, that makes the music. It's the space between the words that makes the words either in the form of just talking or true communication. They're not the same. I'll be talking at somebody, at my wife Ariella. I'm not communicating, and she doesn't hear it. How many times do we speak at our kids, but it's not being received because it's not communication. It's just words, and there is a difference. And a lot of that comes down to not just what we say, but how we're saying it and where we're saying it or what we're not saying. The white fire, the space between the notes, the space between the words, the nonverbal communication. How many times on this chair has one of the spouses, when I do couples counseling, been like this, saying, yeah, I get it, I receive that. Their body language is saying, fuck off. I'm not here. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. And frankly, I'm out of this relationship. There's a study done by John Gottman that I think was made famous in one of Malcolm Gladwell's books. I think it was Blink, who just measured not what marital couples were saying in couples counseling, but how they were saying it. Didn't even use the words, turned down the volume, and he could predict 90% accuracy rate or something like that, whether they'd stay married or divorced based on what was not being said or how it was being said. The white fire, the spaces between the conversation that didn't make a conversation. It just made it in two-way monologues. That's not a dialogue. Thinking about as we go into the boardroom or the bedroom or any room where somebody is on the other side waiting to be in dialogue with us, where we need to have communication. It's not just what we say. Black fire, abracadabra, yes, be conscious. Choose the words wisely. Choose not to speak wisely. That can be a powerful form of communication, but it's also all the things that aren't said, all of the nonverbal communication, all of the spaces between the notes. Sometimes it's just taking a deep breath. As Viktor Frankl says, expanding the space between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our power to choose our response. And when we're uptight, when we're angry, when we can't think, we might just spew. Expand the space. Take a deep breath. Maybe it means walking away from the space, expanding the white fire before we get more into black fire. I have to leave the room sometimes. I'll tell Ariella I need to go on a walk. My son Aviv and I get into heated debates, arguments, and we have a safe word. And so he uses it or I use it, and we stop talking because we'll just pummel each other with black fire and the whole thing is scorched earth. What are the things that are being said? What are the things that are not being said? What's the context of the space? How do I use the space around me to piss people off, right? To violate their space. I work in a shared office space with my wife and my sister and some others, and sometimes I think, you know what? I didn't put that thing back, and I know that's white fire. That's communicating something that this person has said before. They feel like it's a gesture of disrespect. I didn't mean disrespect by it, but that's them telling me that I'm communicating through white fire. So think about all of the things that are white fire in your life that you are picking up on that are making you feel angry or disrespected. All those things that your spouse said or your employees said or your boss says, your coworkers or your children, and that they don't even realize they're communicating to you through white fire. Be proactive, be responsive, not reactive to them, and start pointing those things out gently. Have a conversation about black fire and white fire. And sometimes it's about the notes, and sometimes it's about the space or lack thereof between the notes. If it's all notes, it's just noise. And if it's no notes, there's nothing to listen to. So it's black fire and it's white fire. It's the things said, it's the things not said. It's the context they're said in, not just the content that's delivered. Black fire, white fire, that's the exercise when you start thinking about going into a conversation, going into a relationship, or being in the throes of one, right? What's the black fire here? What's the white fire here? These are powerful tools that have been around since the beginning of time. Now they're your tools to take out into the world to create your own fire. Not too much fire, but certainly enough to warm you, to heat you, to create your life. All kinds of fire, black fire and white fire. And now this is a tool I bestow upon you. And with that, go out into the world, defy your number, don't live in reaction, create constructive fire, putting down the destructive fire, living your spirit.